a ridiculous car that no one needs, it's also incredibly endearing. It's called the Paceman, and it's the newest addition to the Mini lineup. Now, before we answer whether or not I love it or hate it, there's a better question to ask, and that is, exactly what is it? So to answer that question, I'm here in beautiful Puerto Rico to drive what Mini calls the world's first sports activity coupe, which in many ways is really just a two-door version of its Countryman model. To give you some perspective right off the bat, this car is larger than a conventional Mini hardtop. It's about 1.5 feet longer, it's 4 inches wider, and it's 4 inches taller. As you can tell, it borrows styling from the Countryman, including the rugged-looking flared fenders, more masculine squared-off headlights, and more up-front nose. And yet, because it's low-slung with big wheels, a nice little spoiler out back, and some aggressive flared rear haunches, it ticks the sporty appearance box too. If originality is high on your list of qualifications for a new car, you might want to start here. As for what's under the hood, well, if you know Minis, you won't find any surprises here. There are, of course, two engine options, a base 1.6 liter and a turbocharged 1.6 liter in the Cooper S model. The latter is bound to be the more popular model and makes 181 horsepower and 177 foot-pounds of torque. Depending on the transmission, and if you choose all-wheel drive, it'll hit 60 miles per hour in anywhere from 7.6 seconds to just 6.9 seconds. As for the base Cooper model, it makes 121 horsepower and 118 foot-pounds of torque. With a manual transmission, it'll hit 60 miles an hour in 9.7 seconds, or if you get the automatic, it's a pretty slow 10.8. Yes, this might be an original concept for a car, but the rest of the package follows a script that's about as original as a Harlequin romance. So along with the familiar exterior styling, interior items, you also have a drive that is exactly what you'd expect, which is a good thing because it's a lot of fun. The Paceman has plenty of grip in front-wheel drive and especially in the all-wheel drive configuration. Now, to say that it has go-kart handling is very cliche, but it's also not wrong. An optional sport button stiffens up the steering and also makes the throttle much more responsive. Now, on top of all that, you can also get a fully defeatable traction and stability control program, which is a lot of fun. And in that sport mode, the car does sound a lot better, and you really get a lot of that popping and banging that used to only be available in the hardest core JCW models. Unlike a lot of Minis, the suspension doesn't feel excessively stiff, even on these less than ideal Puerto Rican roads. That all changes, however, once you get up in speed a little bit or once the roads do start to deteriorate. You can especially notice it if you hit a bump while you're going around a corner and the car just sort of skitters across the road, and it can feel pretty hairy. Oh, and like the Countryman, you can actually order the Paceman with all-wheel drive, with the manual transmission, and the Cooper S turbocharged engine, putting all of the best performance features together. A good sign that Mini really understands its customers. All Minis get excellent fuel economy, and this one is no different. It gets 27 miles per gallon in the city, regardless of which car or which transmission you're using. It will get 35 miles per gallon on the highway with the base Cooper, that's the non-turbo one. Add on the turbo and it still gets a very solid 32 miles per gallon, and all-wheel drive models get 31 on the highway. Being a crossover type thing, it's important to look at utility, and there the Paceman comes up a bit short. Now, for starters, it's a 4-seater, not a 5-seater. On top of all that, sure, it does have more room than, say, a Mini hardtop, but that's not saying a whole lot. And you've got this sloping rear roofline, so there's less headroom than, say, in the Countryman. Surely that trade-off is made up in cargo space. Well, only sort of. There's 11.5 cubic feet of trunk space, or 38 cubic feet total, which seems like a lot, but that's less than what you'll get in a Hyundai Accent. One thing I do like is that for a small car, it does have a large rear hatch, and it opens high enough that even at 6'1", I can stand underneath it. As for other utility features, yes, it does come with an available all-wheel drive system. However, you're really not going to take this vehicle off-road, especially when the ground clearance is less than a regular Mini hardtop. No wonder it handles so well. Much like how the rest of the car is deja vu, if you've ever watched me review a Mini before, this will be too. Yes, the interior of the car is cool, just like the outside, but it comes at a cost. I loathe Mini's toggle switches all here on the dash. As for the rest of it, well, the buttons are just tiny. I've never liked the fact that the speedometer's here in the middle, although I can get used to that. The little tiny dial for the infotainment screen is weird, and just general poor ergonomics. On the plus side, just like in the Countryman, they've actually moved the window switches from the center console to the doors, which makes a lot more sense. However, I've noticed that now the sport button is actually a little toggle switch because they obviously didn't want to waste that space. Considering the premium Mini charges for its products and all this design, it's a steep price to pay to be annoyed. The car costs $23,900, although if you want the Cooper S like this car, you're gonna have to pay $27,500, and of course with all-wheel drive it adds quite a bit extra, and you're basically gonna spend $30,000 before options. To be honest, I don't want to like this car because it seems like it's filling a niche just for the sake of it. And on top of that, it's not really good enough at being a crossover to legitimize its own existence. But at the same time, it is incredibly fun to drive and it really looks unique. And here is where the Mini product planners went out. A lot of people buy crossovers because they believe they need the utility, and yet they really just use them as a means of personal urban transportation. With the Paceman, Mini has built a car that people will think will meet their demands of a crossover, and at the same time delivering plenty of style and that fun to drive element. What's next? A Paceman convertible? Now that'd be a stupid idea, but I bet you'd be a lot of fun to drive. For more on this review and others like it, visit autoguide.com.